So a lot of you have been asking for an update on my gas video and how I got rid of gas, and you guys will have seen the absolutely ridiculous amount of gear that I'd collected over the years. And I'm going to do an update in this video, and I just want to quickly go through what I've got rid of and why I got rid of it and why I've chosen what I've chosen. So I'll give you a quick idea first of what I'm planning on doing. So very quickly, I want to do projects over here in the Philippines. I'm back in the Philippines now, and I want to concentrate on the people and the places to a degree, but mainly the stories around the people and the places and how they live and what their lives are like. So we'll get straight into it. I had a full Olympus kit, OM Systems kit, and that was one of the original sort of full systems that I had, and I always liked Micro Four Thirds and Olympus, but I got rid of it for two reasons really. One is that I wasn't too sure of the financial future of the company, and I didn't want that to be my only system. I didn't feel confident in OM Systems and their direction and where they're going. It's also priced relatively high, considering the Micro Four Thirds sensor, and possibly in potential output I have a Canon 44-inch printer sat over there, and at some point I do plan on exhibiting some prints, and I want the ability to print pretty large, up to 44 inches. And so Micro Four Thirds can do sort of 30 by 20s, but anyway, it wasn't the ideal system. I think it's great for travel and adventure type photography. It's really rugged, but in the end, it just isn't going to suit the direction I'm going in. And actually, that's probably the one system that I found it hardest to get rid of because I'm quite attached to it. I had the OM1, I had the OM1 Mark II, and I had a full system of pro lenses. But when I looked at it, I just thought, I've got to be brutal, I've got to cull. And that system went because I just don't think it quite meets my balance and requirements of image quality versus portability. And I'll get on to a little bit more what I went with, but yeah, the Olympus system had to go. So I sold all that off back in the UK. I also have got rid of my full Sony setup. Now I had a Sony A7 IV, in fact I had two of them, and as much as I appreciate those cameras, I think they're technically fantastic. The image quality is excellent technically. The lenses, I had GM lenses, I had the 51.2, 35 1.4, I had the Sigma 85 1.4 DGDN, so the smaller version. Brilliant lenses. I also had a Sigma 24 to 70 f2.8 art lens, again DGDN I think. I just got rid of them because I didn't connect with the Sony stuff. As much as I admire them, I think they're really technically competent. The autofocus is out of this world. But they didn't make me want to pick them up and shoot. I didn't feel 100% comfortable shooting them. They didn't inspire me. And I know that's different for everyone, and I don't want a load of people coming in the comments and saying, oh, my Sony's amazing. That's great. If it's great for you, it's great for you. Use what works for you. For me, I just didn't feel it. And so again, I got rid of it. And then I had started toying around with the Nikon Z system. I previously had a Z7 II on trial from my company, which I really enjoyed. And when the Z8 came out, it kept sort of, knocking in the back of my mind, kept sort of knocking on me saying, hello, hello, come and try me. So I did. And I bought a few 1.8 Z lenses along with some zooms and stuff. And I got rid of that because the expense of having that full frame system is just too much. I want to simplify. I want to have money coming back in rather than spending money on, pretty expensive lenses. It's a great system. I really love that system. The only thing I didn't like with the Z8 is the memory banks. I prefer having custom functions on the dial. The memory banks, I just could never quite get my head around them and didn't enjoy using those. So to change quickly between custom settings was not intuitive to me. Lenses are fantastic performing, but the Z system in the end is redundant because what I have kept is Fuji. I've basically stayed all Fuji, and I have a GFX 100S, and all this gear is stuff that I already own, and I've just culled out what I don't think I need and what is just taking the mick really and is too much stuff. So I've kept the GFX 100S for high-end stuff, for high-end landscapes, and for any projects that I feel like I need to maximize the quality. So for instance, I have a project lined up where I'm going to photograph the elders of the area. So in the Philippines, elder people here are really well respected. They're seen as pillars of knowledge. They're seen as people who've been through life and have experience to hand down to others. And I really, really like that. And because of the age of them, I feel like I want to preserve them with the best detail possible, with the most information, to capture them with the best tonality, and basically to do justice to them. I feel like I'd want to use the GFX for that shoot and for that project. And so I have that, which kind of mitigates the need for a full frame system if ever I felt I needed slightly better quality than what my main system is going to be, which is the Fuji X system. So briefly, I'll just quickly go through it. Again, I'm not really gear focused, but I just want to say what I've done as a follow-up to that gas video that I did. The X100VI I've kept. I just love the handling of it. I love the way it feels. I like the images you get. I like the fact that it's got a leaf shutter and a built-in flash, which works quite well for a bit of fill flash. I think it's a nice discreet camera. It's an everyday carry type camera. I feel very comfortable using it here. I don't like having a huge system in terms of the actual size of the lenses and the camera itself, because it makes me a little bit self-conscious. Perhaps sometimes I'm photographing people in rural areas, and the value of the gear is obviously very high, but also the size of it can be off-putting to people who are not used to seeing that kind of gear. Whereas with something like the X100, I kind of can fit in a little bit more. It can look to people who don't know a bit like a point and shoot. So I've kept the X100VI for that. And then to complement that is the XT5, which I just find is a great general purpose camera. Again, I like the tactile feel of it. I like the dials. It inspires me to take photographs. And that's the main thing here, is I found what I think inspires me the most, what I want to take photos on, and what makes me feel comfortable taking photos, so that I do go out of my comfort zone a little bit. And, you know, I'm not a hugely sociable person, so I think just blending in a little bit more helps me to feel more comfortable going into places that I don't know and photographing people that I'm not, you know, particularly familiar with. And so, yep, XT5, excellent image quality. I think it's a really nice balance between cost, size, weight, and image quality. And for me, mainly looking at now shooting people, cultures, things like that, I think the image quality that comes off the Fuji for that is great. For landscapes, some of the other systems are better, I'll give you that, but I'm not really focusing anymore on sort of empty landscapes. It will be more landscapes, perhaps how they relate back to the people and to the culture and to the way of life here. So I've done that, and then I've simplified my lens lineup. So I have an 18-55 that came with the kit. I rarely use that. But if I do need that flexibility of a zoom, I've kept that. The resale value on that is so low that I just figured I'd keep it anyway. My favorite focal length, well, I have two really, is I have 23 millimeters and 35 millimeters-ish on the X system. So full frame of 35 and 50, around about there are my favorite focal lengths. So I've kept the 23 millimeter 1.4, that's the WR version. I know that kind of duplicates with the X100VI, but I had this before the X100VI. It's such a nice lens that I just will not get rid of it. I really enjoy shooting that focal length, and I really like the performance of this lens. It's weather sealed as well. If I don't want to take the X100VI and I'm just using one camera, if I'm traveling light, then that paired with the XT5 is excellent. I've also got the 33 millimeter 1.4 WR, 50 millimeter being my favorite focal length. On all those systems that I had previously, I had 50 millimeter lenses and good 50 millimeter lenses. I find this one, again, excellent. Again, weather sealed, not too big, not too bulky. And then I have the 56 1.2 WR, and I want that for people shots, obviously, for portraits. And some of the projects that I've got lined up will be going out and seeing and experiencing the indigenous peoples here. So there's still indigenous groups here that live a little bit more remote, and I want to capture their facial expressions, their faces. If I'm photographing the elder generation, then I like to capture all the, the detail in their faces with fairly close-up portraits. And so those are my three lenses that I'm really going to use, and actually it will be the 33 and the 56 most of the time with the XT5, and then the X100 going along with that. Now I also had the f2 variants, and they're duplicating again, so you could say that they're unnecessary, but I do a lot of travel by motorbike here. If I'm getting tight on space, the performance and the weather sealing of these is excellent. I don't really always need super shallow depth of field that you'll get with the 1.4 and the 1.2 variants of the lenses. So the 50 f2 I have, the 35 f2, and then I also have the 16mm f2.8, which just gives me a wider angle in case I want to capture, perhaps the barangay, the local village, or just some landscapes to go with whatever portraits and other shots, documentary type shots that I'm shooting. So the 16mm is actually my widest lens, so I've kept that for that reason. And it's tiny, compact, weather sealed, so it's just a no-brainer to bring that along. The others I'll swap and change depending on how much space I have. Everything will be going into a Peak Design sling bag. So I have a Peak Design messenger bag. I can't even remember the name of it. That's how unfocused on gear I am at the moment. But it's the medium-sized one, I think. I think it's 10 liters, something like that. Really good bag, pretty good weather resistance, and it has a waterproof thing that goes over the top. So yeah, that is the update for the channel. So what I'm going to do going forward now is I have projects lined up, as I said. I know that I'd planned to do them in the new year. I got back to the Philippines, and honestly, I got a 3-month-old daughter, and I just wanted to spend time with her. So I took some time off. Photography took a back seat, and I just have spent time with her. She's now at 9 months old, and just growing up so fast that I just didn't want to miss that time with her, and I just prioritized it. I'll just be honest with you, I prioritized it, Photography can wait. My daughter's never going to be that age again, so that's why I've been doing that. I am also moving my mum over here from the UK. She's had enough of the UK. She's on her own in the UK, and I've said to her, come and live with us over here. And I've got a house, almost like a granny annex. So she's going to be moving over here in the next few months. I don't want her on her own, so again, I've been prioritizing organizing that. But I'm ready again now. The projects, some of them are lined up, some of them I'm planning, but that's what I'm going to be doing going forward. So to those of you who asked for an update, this is the update on what I'm using. So I'm all Fuji now, and I like the continuity between the systems. I can switch from the XT5 to the X100 pretty easily, and then even to the GFX, the menu system being very, very similar. I know the performance, I know these cameras inside out, so I think that's more important than having, X amount of pixels or, slightly better autofocus or whatever. I can work with these. I like them, they inspire me. I think that's the main message that I'd give off this video is work with what inspires you. I actually will be riding motorbikes, so I'll sort of be combining the rides to the places, which is quite often remote locations. And I'll be riding there, and then I'll be photographing the various projects that I've got set up or that I'm trying to set up. Some of the rides will just be exploring the area and seeing what we can see, and then seeing if I can find stories in the local area. Whether it's a big story or a little story, I just want to immerse myself in it. And I think riding a motorbike allows me to get to the places that the tourists don't see, and the places that you don't see on, Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all that. So I think it'll be pretty interesting. So to those of you who have stuck around, I really appreciate it. I know it's been a while. Videos will be coming when they're ready, but it will be all sort of project-based, exploring the Philippines, exploring the culture here. And I hope those are videos that will stand out, and I hope that you'll enjoy them. But thanks again for sticking around. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.